Hey folks, I'm Brian Anderson. Welcome to my channel and welcome back to our study in the book of Romans. In this study, basically what we're simply doing is taking a short section at a time, usually about a paragraph, and trying to sum up the meaning of that section, maybe make an application and then move on to the next one. It's not a deep dive into the book of Romans, but it's sort of a survey, an overview of the main thought of the letter. So we're going to do that again today. And today we have come to a really important section. This is chapter 1, verses 16 and 17. And it reads like this: "For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, but the righteous man shall live by faith." Now, if you think of the book of Romans as like an oak tree, verses 16 and 17 from chapter 1 are like the acorn that produces that oak tree. When I was in college, I had a writing class, and in every paper that we wrote, the instructor told us that we were supposed to have a thesis statement. This thesis statement would be like a one sentence near the end of the first paragraph, which introduced the entire paper and really summed up everything I was about to say in one single pregnant sentence. That's what Romans 1, 16 and 17 is. Paul is distilling his entire letter into 2 verses. So let's get into it. In these 2 verses, what Paul is doing is he's giving us 4 great words that are so full of and rich with doctrinal and theological meaning. And here are the 4 words: gospel, salvation, believe, and righteousness. So let's take a quick look at those 4 words. First of all, the gospel. The gospel is God's good news. It's the good news of what God has done in Jesus Christ to save his people. So the gospel is linked with the power of God in this sentence. I am not ashamed of the gospel. Why? Because it is the power of God for salvation. So man's salvation has nothing to do with his own self-effort. Man's salvation is a result of the power of God that comes to us through the good news of Jesus Christ. The gospel is not about what we do. The gospel is about what God has already done in Christ. It showcases the work of God on our behalf. Second word, salvation. The word salvation speaks about deliverance or being rescued from something. The gospel focuses on our salvation from sin. The gospel is not primarily about being saved from sickness or being saved from poverty or being saved from a bad marriage. The gospel may have implications for all of those things, but it primarily focuses on being saved from sin and the consequences of sin, the penalty of sin. Third word, believe. Faith is a major emphasis in this book. In Romans 5:1, we're told that we are justified by faith. And in Romans 3:28, we're told that we are justified by faith apart from works of the law. So in the book of Romans, faith is all important. Good deeds, baptism, the, quote, sacraments of the church, the Eucharist, any other potential sacraments that the church has believed in, don't even come into Paul's consideration when he speaks about our justification before God, our right standing with him. Faith is the human means by which we connect to and receive our justification, our right standing with God. So there we have it, believe. And then the 4th word, righteousness. And Paul speaks about the righteousness of God. This refers to God's own righteousness, which he gives to the one who believes the gospel. We find that opened up and explained to us in chapter 3, verses 21 to 24. Those who believe in Jesus Christ are given a right standing with God. God's righteousness is put to their account as a gift of grace. Okay, so there are the 4 great words that are going to be opened up and unpacked and explained further in this letter. The words are gospel, salvation, believe, and righteousness. But how would we apply those great truths that we see Paul simply mentioning here in these 2 verses. Well, he says, I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes. So obviously, how we apply this is that we determine by God's help and grace, neither will we be ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And what's the opposite of being ashamed of the gospel? It would be to be boldly proclaiming that gospel to anybody that we can. So my encouragement to you and for myself is to pray for and look for opportunities, even today, even this very moment. As soon as this video is over, offer up a prayer to God that he would show us opportunities where we can boldly explain and share and tell others about this good news of Jesus Christ, that God has come into the world through his Son to provide salvation, deliverance, rescue from sin and all of its consequences. And it's all of the grace of God, and it results in right standing with him. And it all hinges on whether a man will believe, whether he will put his faith and trust in Jesus Christ. Hope that is encouraging and inspiring to you today. I'll see you on the next video. God bless.